Welcome to Happy Souls. So I'm so excited to bring you today's interview. It is with Emily from Serotonin. She has been planning this cafe ever since she was 16 years old. She is such an incredibly driven woman. She has been planning this ever since day dot. She found the location. It's across from the park. Serotonin is the happiest cafe that you'll ever go to. You know, it's just like these happy people that I wear all the time. This is the happiest cafe that you'll ever go to. They have lattes with a beautiful smiley face on it. They have the rainbows coming through the windows every single day. So I cannot wait to bring you this interview. Welcome to Happy Souls. So we are here with Emily, who is the founder of Serotonin and Utopia. It's quite honestly the happiest cafe that I've ever been into. It is so beautiful here. It is across from a gorgeous park for the kids. There's so much parking, but just your whole outlook for Serotonin is incredible. Now, was it Melbourne's first vegan cafe, or it was one of Melbourne's healthiest cafes that came out? Like you were ahead of the pack, weren't you?
Yeah. I'm sure there was someone before me. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but yeah, we really, I think, pushed through social media plant eating to the forefront.
Amazing. So Emily, thank you for coming.
My
I'm so
pleasure.
glad to be here. I'm so excited. Can you tell us about your story? Like, how did you start? Why did you choose a cafe? Why did you choose plant-based? And just tell us about your little journey.
It's a big journey.
Ooh,
so really, I like to start my story when I was kind of 16. Up to then, life was pretty normal, but then when I was like a teenager, I started going through what I call mood funks. We're just going to get straight into the good stuff.
Good. Love it.
And mood funks for me were depression, suicidal thoughts. Later, a lot later on, I started to get anxiety as well. But I think everyone can relate to mood funks. It's really common. Everyone has ups and downs. That's just normal ebbs and flows of life.
And it is for teenagers too.
Yeah.
So,
There was so much, it wasn't until recently I really started thinking, what was it that caused that back then? And yeah, there was so much pressure put on you as a 16-year-old kid to choose what you want to do for university, and we're playing sport. We're probably burnt out as 16-year-olds.
You don't know yourself then.
Yeah.
You don't know who you are.
And I was at high school at the time, obviously, and the only sort of treatments was to go to the school counsellors. And I was telling them some pretty deep, dark things, and they weren't even telling my parents, which again, I look back and that blows my mind that my parents didn't even know this stuff was going on. So super isolated. No one was giving me answers. I was just telling them my problems and they were just listening, but no one was giving me any solutions. And then I moved out of home when I was 18. I was in love and we wanted to move out, and I moved into a factory that we call like the Andy Warhol factory. It was a huge factory just behind Chapel Street. It had a rock climbing wall. It had a half pipe inside. It was just like the party house.
That's crazy. That's insane.
It was insane. So not living the healthiest life, as I'm sure you can guess. I would get home from work on a Friday night after working a 50-hour week, and people would just already be at mine drinking because I lived out of home and everyone else lived at home.
You're the cool kid.
Yeah, exactly. Come to mum's house. So we were drinking, we were partying, and I was just feeling crap, and it kept going on until I was 21, and then I started to become wiser, and I took myself to the doctor at 21. And because I'd moved out of home, it was a brand new doctor. So this doctor knew nothing about me, and we spent like 5-10 minutes speaking, and she said, all right, great, we're going to put you on antidepressants. And that just like sent alarm bells to me. This was at 21, and
the first thing she said to you was, I'm going to put you on antidepressants.
And I wasn't, it was so scary. And I went home that night and I just, got on Google, what else do you do? And I was like, what does that even mean? What are the side effects? And I found this peer-reviewed study with 3 women in the UK who'd been stuck on them for 30 years. And that, I remember, it just like shook me to my core. These ladies had been interviewed after the study and they were like, they just feel numb and now they can't get off them as well. And it was just horrific. So I was like, all right, I don't want to do that. And then that exact same day, I just started researching natural happiness. I was like, well, how can I make myself happy naturally? And I kept researching, and 3 months in, this word serotonin had kept coming up. And I really liked what serotonin meant as opposed to what happiness meant, because serotonin for me is about mood stabilization, whereas happiness was really like somewhere in the future, like when do you achieve happiness, whereas serotonin was more present in the moment, like this everyday calm.
Wow, that's a 21.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So how have you gone then to researching happiness to opening a cafe?
Well, I'd always wanted a cafe. I'd actually never worked in hospitality before I opened, which is another whole story. But my friends and I used to eat out all the time at this place near our high school. We used to eat there every night, and it was super cheap and it was really quick and it was Japanese. And there was no alcohol there. You just go in, it was really friendly. The staff was so nice and we just loved how we felt. We had this little table upstairs that we were allowed to use, and it was just so beautiful. Yeah, it was a little community. And it was like literally in like a house. You go up the stairs past the bathroom and it was so cute. And you sit upstairs there, and this was a little while ago, but it was like $10 pretty much for eat all you can. And I just loved that. Like
anything for $10 anymore.
It's now only $20 for pretty much eat all you can. It's still my favourite place to go.
Oh, still around.
Still around. And so my idea was to open a second place of this.
Yeah.
And so from 16, I'd been like journaling this business plan. And then I started traveling at 18, and I kept this diary every time I traveled. And in the back, I'd always do little inspiration, whatever I saw around the world. And I actually designed the Japanese booths that we have back when I was 19. And for the cafe. I designed the whole restaurant pretty much when I was 19, but it was going to be a Japanese cafe or a Japanese restaurant. I saw this when we graduated school, everyone started brunching. So then I really was like, well, why don't we take this beautiful Japanese, you know, when you leave Japanese restaurants, you're really satiated, you're never sick.
No, that Japanese is like
the
one of the
cleanest
only takeaways
cuisine
that I really love.
Yeah.
For that exact reason.
You just feel, it's just super clean.
You feel so wholesome.
Yeah.
Just feel filled and happy. Yes.
And we started eating breakfast out, and you do not feel like that after you eat like a big bacon and eggs somewhere. And I'm like, oh,
No,
God.
not back then,
No, it was not what it is now. So I started designing this concept for a Japanese breakfast place. And then I was working on that. And then I didn't ever think these two things would line up. And then this happened when I was 21, and they still hadn't overlapped yet. And then at the same time, I was just doing a lot of research. I was spending so much of my time online, and my dad was like, all right, well, you have to do a business plan and you have to do a costing. So I did a costing, and I remember working out how much architects were and how much graphic designers were. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to keep saving.
Yeah.
And then I actually looked up how much it would be for me to do those courses, and it was like half the price. So I went to university and did a double degree in interior architecture and graphic communication design. So I did all the branding here.
You're insane. That's incredible.
It was, well, now I can do it. I knew that this was something I'd wanted to do forever. So now I know how to do it, and I could, that was the fun part, designing it all.
Oh my goodness. That's insane, Em.
Thank you.
Like you just did it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. Okay, keep on going. Oh, this is getting good. Yeah, keep on going.
And then when I was at uni, I was still living the uni life, like eating crappy food and drinking and partying all night. Yeah, and I was just like,
you were just at that
feeling
age,
crappy. Yeah. So I was on YouTube one day, and I found a vegan blogger, and I just started watching her story, and it was amazing. And then overnight, I just went vegan, and I did a sort of like cleanse for 10 days. And then everyone thought I was nuts. And then I just stopped eating meat from that day. And that was years ago. That was maybe 7 years ago or something. So that just changed the whole way my body worked and my mind functioned. And I was eating this way, and I was still designing the Japanese restaurant. And it was actually a friend of mine who I was hanging out with. He said, why are you doing this? He's like, why don't you open a serotonin cafe? I'm like, you're a genius.
Yeah, exactly. Like bulb.
And he doesn't even remember saying it.
That's hilarious.
I'm like, I owe you my business. He doesn't remember saying it. But so then I started to put this two and two together and started designing this.
That is insane. So are you still a vegan or vegetarian?
Yeah.
Still to this day.
Yep.
So it's been 7 years.
Yeah.
So with serotonin, it is vegan or vegetarian?
So all the meals come vegan and all the drinks come vegan,
Yep.
but you can add eggs if you like.
Yes.
Yep.
So eggs is the only kind of protein or,
Yeah.
meat. What is it? Like meat?
Well, not protein. We have
Yes.
tempeh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good, yes.
We have all the plant-based proteins.
Yes.
But yeah, I keep eggs on the menu because less than 10% of my customers are actually vegan. So, and this big Melbourne brunch culture is about smashed avo and eggs. And so what we do is we bring people in here who might not necessarily be plant-based or be eating a vegan diet, and then we can slowly educate them about it.
Good stuff without them even knowing about it. Like,
I don't even use the V word. Vegetarian and vegan are naughty words. I just say we're a plant-based cafe. People don't even know what that means.
That's funny because when I was researching, obviously, to come here,
Yep.
I did look that up because I wanted to know if it was vegan or vegetarian.
Yep.
And I couldn't
Doesn't
find
say it anywhere, yeah.
Because you know what? It scares people.
Yeah.
Even someone like my dad, like, I'm not going to vegan or vegetarian.
It's like the word feminist. People think of feminists like these bra-burning hippies in the 60s. They think of vegans like that too, but like, yeah, you just got to be a low-key, under the radar, just change people slowly. I just lead by example.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's incredible. Well, it's so beautiful here. Like,
Thank you.
I love that it's opposite a park.
Yeah.
Like, as a mum, it's incredible. Like, you've got swings here for people and you've got parks.
Well, in my final year of the design degree, I had the light bulb moment. And so I went back in that June, July holidays and I changed one of my design subjects to a business subject. And then I got to do a 12-week business plan. And it was actually on this exact location. I circled an area of Melbourne that I wanted to be and I drove past and saw this, but it was a working milk bar at the time. So I just did it on this place as my dream place. And then I did the business plan and I came up with all the things that I wanted here. So I wanted it to be across from a park because nature helps your serotonin levels. Yeah. And I wanted it to have, all the parking out the front because if you can't even park to go to a place, you're already going to be frustrated and it's going to already have a bad.
Parking, well, that will determine where I go.
Yeah.
If there's no parking, I just...
Yeah, me too. Yep.
I'm that person that I would do
I manifest a park out the front, yeah.
Exactly. But I'll do exercise every day, but walking to somewhere, I'm just like, no, I need a park. I'll circle 10 times trying to find the closest park.
And then when I finished uni, it was 6 months later and I did a bit more travel and just did a bit more exploring, things like that. And then one day I drove past and then there was a Felice sign up. So it was amazing.
It's just meant to be.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
That's so beautiful. So you actually designed everything yourself?
Yeah.
Yep. Everything in the cafe?
But when I took it over, it was a really dodgy milk bar and some of my locals, I remember they came in and they're like, thank you. They're like, there used to be like 5-day-old dim sims and there'd be like 2 dim sims and 1 toothbrush on the shelf. They're like, it was the worst milk bar ever. And then there was people like, I'm pretty sure illegally living out the back. And then when I took it over, there was a squatter in the courtyard. So it was a pretty dingy place, but it's built in 1889. Wow. So the building's like 130 years old. So there was a lot of, I took over the lease and that was a big learning curve because I had to go through town planning and it's actually got a heritage overlay, which I didn't know any of that. So there was 9 months built.
Yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish, that one.
Yes, that was not in my business plan.
No, exactly. But I've got a plan. It says right here. Yeah.
Just open.
Yeah. Can I just give you a hug? Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So a cafe, lots of people have ideas for cafes.
Yeah.
Yours just went...
Yeah.
Like, you went nuts from the first day that you opened. Like, how did you get that to happen? Obviously, you can see that you're a forward planner and you plan absolutely everything. But from that day that you opened, how many people came in?
So I think that's what people think. It just happened overnight. But the planning permit took 9 months. Yes. So I had the windows boarded up for 9 months. And people were literally, I was so good on the social media because I'd started the Instagram pages. Like, it was just my own personal page. Yeah. So I was showing people my journey, how I was eating plant-based. And then
it was education as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always entertain and educate on social media. Otherwise, what are people watching? So people were literally coming here and knocking on the window. It was all boarded up and we weren't even doing anything. But I started telling everyone I was going to open this cafe. So people thought it was open. So they started showing up. So by the time we opened, I already had 15,000 followers on Instagram for the cafe. So yeah, Sarah from Matcha was my first customer on my first day.
Oh, how beautiful.
They were waiting at the door at 8 a.m.
Hello. Yeah.
And that was just meant to be a soft launch for family and friends. It was hilarious. And these guys were there. And the first I'm like, how did you guys even know we were open
how did you
today?
know? Well, we've been watching you.
Yeah.
Social media, it's like Big Brother. We watch everything. So, okay, so did you do apart from social media, was there any other planning that you did before you opened?
So this is probably a story I've never told. When I obviously love business, but I love crowdfunding. And I always used to spend my time on crowdfunding websites because you can see really cool business ideas coming up. And I would always just donate to things that I loved. And I actually donated to Thank You Water way back.
Yeah, like so close.
I love it. And I sent them an email and I was like, hey guys, I'm opening a cafe. I'd love to put your water in my cafe. And then they sent an email. I told them the ethos and they sent an email back saying, one of our volunteers is a journalist for Broadsheet. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. They're like, do you want to have coffee with her? I was like, yes, please.
Do you even know who Broadsheet were at that time?
Probably not, no. I probably Googled it and I was like, oh, that'd be good.
That's amazing.
So she came, it was 6 months before I even opened. There's a hilarious photo of me with a hard hat on and my brother and I holding the plan, and then she interviewed me over in the park, and we had my cousin who's a nutritionist come over, and we told everyone about the ethos, and everything she put in that article unfolded to a T though. And because they had got wind of it, they said, the second you open, you have to let us know. But another one of my friends, Sophia Levin,
she's one of my good friends. We do boxing
so
together.
gorgeous. Oh, do you?
Yeah, we got a tribute together. Loved it.
Well, she is obviously a journalist, and she was writing for, what's it called, the Epicure?
Epicure, yeah.
And so she said, I'd love to put you in that. I was like, thank you so much. So she put me in that on the Tuesday. We opened on the Wednesday. Broadsheet got wind of that I hadn't given them the scoop. So they came in on the Thursday, and I was like, please don't launch it, because I just knew the power of Broadsheet. I'd never worked in a cafe. I had no idea. None of the staff knew what we were doing. I hadn't even tasted the food yet, but they put it out on the Friday or the Saturday morning, and that weekend we had 1,000 people in. I was like, oh my God.
That's insane.
It was insane. It was a nightmare.
I think that the tipping point for you as well with that is that you got in, because I know a little bit about PR.
Yeah.
You got in before you opened.
Yeah.
And you gave people the exclusive.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Yeah.
Like really, really important. Because just opening the doors, like you planned this.
Yeah, and then
for a
you're
really
yelling
long
and saying,
time.
come help, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's incredible. So apart from coming here, which is just one of my favourite cafes in Melbourne that I absolutely adore.
It's mine too, and you know, the staff, I come in here, well, I can't be a customer anymore. Obviously, it's my own place, but I come and sit here and I'll just try and do my work and hide, and then they're like, could you move? We need this table. Then I'll move to a communal. They're like, now we need the communal too. I'm like, I'll just go sit out the back.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll just be in my car. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, but you have these like lattes, and what are they? So we said peanut butter latte.
Peanut butter latte, beetroot latte, it's just new. Gingerbread latte is amazing. And we make them all fresh, like it's fresh cloves, fresh ginger, all fresh spices. And then we've got obviously like the chai latte, which is like, you go to other countries and they don't even have chai lattes yet. I spent years, I'm a chai latte freak. So the chai latte we have now is actually tea leaves ground up. So normally they do a tea and take it out and it's like a weak watery milk. But we have a tea that we grind down and then we mix it in. So you've got the whole cup full of the tea leaves and you're drinking it all. It's so good. Like eating a matcha, how you get so much more benefit than a green tea.
Yeah,
it's
you've
like
really
that. It's amazing.
thought about everything. The best part I find is the cups that it comes in and it has a smiley face on it.
Yeah, that was my dad's idea. I have to give him credit.
It is so brilliant, and you see that all over social media all the time. That is your signature, you know, just being happy with, you know, obviously serotonin in there. It's incredible.
I went back, do you know Cafe Gratitude?
Yes.
And I went back
I've never been there, but I look at it and I'm like, oh, I want it. Yeah.
Well, they've started doing smilers and I went back and they hadn't done it before the date that I did my smiley, so I like to think that I...
Oh, yes, worldwide, smiley faces.
We'll spread it everywhere.
Yeah, good, happiness all over the world.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a little place of your heart. That's amazing. Okay, so apart from coming here, what do you recommend for people to do at home with a plant-based? Like I learned from IIN that it's all about bio-individuality. So what works for one doesn't necessarily work for another. So, you know, some people can eat meat, some people can't eat meat. Some people love plants, some people can't have plants. So what are some things that you recommend people would do at home with their health? Is there anything that you recommend people cut out, or is there anything that you want them to put in more?
Probably cut out dairy is a pretty simple, easy one that everyone's had benefits with.
Yes.
But I think especially living in Australia, we're all from all over the world, and you know, I'm a mix of Danish and English. Everyone's such a mix, so what our bodies and what our biology actually wants is so different for all of us. But definitely the goal is to just increase the fruit and vegetables you eat. So you don't need to do any diets. I don't diet, I don't do anything like that, but 90% of what you eat should be fruit and vegetables. That's just so simple. And instead of thinking, what do I take out and all these sort of things and what diet should I go on, just double the amount of fruit and vegetables you eat.
Just eat from the ground.
Yeah.
If it's grown, eat it. If it's processed, don't eat it.
Yeah, that was on my first menu I ever launched.
Yeah, exactly.
Said that on the front,
That's great. So is there anything else you think that
for me
is good for people?
Yeah.
Not all people, but you know, it's great for people to try.
Probably even more so than food, it's like listening to your body, like your circadian rhythm. So going to bed when it's dark and getting up, you know, not sleeping in. And I always tell people the hours of sleep you get before midnight count as double. So if you can get to bed early, you can't, sleep from 3 a.m. till midday the next day. You're not going to feel the same as if you go to bed at 8 or 9. So I get in bed at 8 o'clock and I read for a bit and I'm back up at 5:30. And then I do my meditation in the morning and then I do yoga. So you do
meditation because we've interviewed her with Laura Poole. So you do that. So that's 20 minutes twice a day of meditating, and just clearly you're just such a thinker and you're very driven, so you kind of need that time just to chill. I was speaking to Laura over text last night. She's like, it's fine, you're creative. I'm like, I'm having very active meditations. She's like, it's okay, you're busy. Yeah, exactly. Is there anything else that you do? I do. That's really helped you on your journey. So before I opened, I spent all this time researching serotonin, and what I wrote was the serotonin formula, which is 12 steps to natural happiness. So the top ones is sleeping 8 hours a night. It will change your life. I sleep 9 minimum. People think that's crazy, but recently I learned this great little 888 trick. So everybody has 888 in their day. 8 hours to sleep, 8 hours to work, 8 hours to play. When you break down your day like that, when you're like, I can't fit it in or whatever. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm a very busy person. It's a good little thing, isn't it? Yeah, because that's 8 hours of play. I can do that every day. Yeah, and that's when I sneak in now my yoga and my meditation. You think, I can't stop for 20 minutes twice a day. What are you doing? Get off Instagram. Yeah, exactly. Go to the gym. Yeah. And the other main one for your health is avoiding the stimulant cycle. I know you'll like this one. Yeah. So in Australia, we're all stuck on the stimulant cycle. Everyone gets up and they're so tired because they've had a bad night's sleep that they have coffee. And then the coffee spikes them and then they're racing on that, and then that will drop off. And then in the afternoon they have sugar. And then that drops off. And then in the evening they have whatever their choice is, drugs, alcohol. And then by the time you finally get to bed, your body is so exhausted that you have this terrible night's sleep. So if you cut out those things, we were saying before that we never really drink. I stopped drinking 4 years ago. You don't really drink at all. It's just, alcohol is essentially... It's poison. Someone said that to me recently. It's poison. I think it was Melissa Ambrosini. And it is, you can have one, whatever, if you want it to. If you like the taste. People say to me, do you just have one? I said, but I don't like it, so why do I have it? Yeah, and the after effects. To fit in and belong, and I don't want to. Yeah. And when you wake up the next day, I remember traveling and I was getting up in the morning, there was like these bright lights, and I would just see, I'd had one drink with dinner and I would just be puffy. And running a business, especially one that's open Saturday, Sunday is our busy days, I just don't have time to feel like that. It's like having a toddler, huh? Exactly. Definitely opening a business has put off having children for a while. Just a little bit. They're really beautiful. No, have one. All right. Have one. I want everyone to have a kid. They're so beautiful. They do your head in, but it's fine because there's so much happiness. Yes, they bring love. Stuff. Yes. And what about another one is getting out in nature, which I just love. It just that's where your serotonin kicks in. It's just you're in a little serotonin. And your brain kicks in. Like, I call myself an intellectual artist, and what that means is that I come up with the concepts for here. I have to come up with marketing ideas and I have to come up with new menu ideas. But sitting here in a white box, I can't come up with those ideas. So when I go hiking or skiing or whatever you're doing out in nature, like even at nighttime, I just play basketball at the local basketball courts, or we go play tennis. You just got to get out of your box. And then that's when I come up with these ideas. My poor manager says, every time we go on holidays, I get more emails than normal. But I'm away and I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, excited, yeah, I'm on. Oh, that's hilarious. So is there any other things that you, what are some more steps? So the biggest ones is, of course, eating fruits and vegetables. Yes. Sleeping. I'm actually writing a book. Good. On the serotonin formula. I know people are asking me about this. So it's going to be super interactive. It'll have all of the 12 steps. And then at the start of it'll have a little bit about how I do that step. And then we're going to give you little tools at home. And then it'll be really interactive, which I love, like Lisa Messenger's books. Have you done hers? No, I've read all of them. I love her. Yeah, yes. Every single one of them. It's great. I'm so happy for you. That's really exciting. Thank you. It's going to take a while. I'm writing it by hand because... No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Things will just come to you. Things come to me when I'm driving my car. Like, I have to stop all the time. I'm like, damn it. I don't put my phone in my room because I love sleep so much. I have my phone outside in the kitchen, and so I know that when you get into bed and all these ideas just start coming to you. So I've got this notepad that's about to fall apart because I have so many ideas at night time. Just writing. Emily, I could talk to you forever. Like, honestly, I find you so incredibly inspiring. We're in the Utopia at the moment. So this is your function space that you've just opened. Yeah. And it's just gorgeous. Like, thank you. It's a different part to serotonin. Yeah. It's meant to be the sort of higher end. For example, like this paint
is literally just double the darkness of the paint in serotonin. So I just upped everything. This is
Oh wow, you're
all
really
dark.
smart. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And then we've got, of course, all the fun neons and everything. So we love doing like
got the
bridal showers and baby parties. Like there's so many conscious humans now that want to have like sober events. So we put on big like, what are they called? The feasting tables. We've got this amazing girl who comes and does great grazing platters. She does 2-meter long grazing platters. They're amazing. So we've done like book launches, and there's so many cool people in Melbourne doing amazing things.
It's gorgeous.
I just wanted to
really
create a space.
beautiful. It's just beautiful. But honestly, I could talk to you forever. You are so inspiring. What you've created here is amazing. You were one of the first in Melbourne that I know, or maybe it was just because I was on that journey, but you were one of the first people to open a healthy cafe in Melbourne. And you know what? That's what we're craving. That's what we need.
It's because that's what I was craving. There was nowhere for me to eat.
Absolutely. Otherwise, I'd just go out and go, can I have eggs with mushrooms and avocado, please?
Yep.
And that was it. That was my breakfast.
That's what I always tell people. I was building sides, but people put oils and butters and crap on the sides. So everything we do here is super clean, and you can trust us.
Yeah. Oh, I love you. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our little audience today that we haven't spoken about?
No. My goal is to change minds and lives. So hopefully I've changed your mind a little bit today, and that'll change your life.
I honestly, I stalk you because I find you just so inspiring. Now, what's next for Emily?
Well, I've got the book that I'm working on. That's super exciting. Penguin has given me a publishing deal.
Okay, I saw that on Facebook. It's so exciting, yes.
And serotonin Airbnbs. Have you heard about this yet?
No.
I know, I'm kind of sneakily telling people along the way. I'm not meant to, but another, like this was, there was nowhere for me to eat, so I opened Serotonin. And now when I travel, there's nowhere for me to stay. Like, for example, my home is plant-based, so there's no leather, there's obviously no animal products in the fridge. But when I travel, people leave bottles of champagne and like cheese and things like that. And it's just a waste. I don't need it. And I wish you would leave me something more conscious. So I'm designing these serotonin happiness Airbnbs. So you'll arrive, and then there'll be a masseuse that you can bring into the home. And then we've got, like, I love bike riding, so there's the trail ride of whatever city you're in. And there's all the plant-based places to eat. It's like a little happiness guide of how to go there. Or there's some in Melbourne, so you can come and do a little staycation with your girlfriends and have fun there.
I love that. It's like, just the world is becoming more conscious about what's around them.
Yeah.
And, like, you're ahead of the game. Like, it's incredible. Like, that's insane. Like,
Yeah, I'm so excited for this.
So excited.
Because I've used to holiday and travel and backpack, and I still love doing that, just leaving without a map. But now being a busy business owner, I go away with Warrior One, for example, and they run these amazing retreats where, like, everything is looked after for you, and I come back like a new human. So I want people to be able to go there.
In Melbourne.
Yeah.
You don't have that opportunity to just go local.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just
I
be
love
able to
that.
zone out and chill out, and we'll have, all videos there, and we'll have people that you can come and different, I know. Can't give away too much. I've got so many ideas.
Every day, because I just could talk to you all the time. And like, I just want to thank you for coming to Happy Souls. Like, yeah, you're incredible. We all love you. We all admire
Thank you.
You're just so empowering.
You too. You're amazing.
Oh, you stop it. Stop it. So this is beautiful, Emily. So come down to Serotonin, and if you need to have an event, Utopia is just gorgeous. It's fantastic. If you want to see more interviews like Emily, just please press subscribe, and we'll bring you some more, because there's so many beautiful souls just like Emily in Melbourne.
Our little group's amazing.
There's amazing people who just are really lighting up the world. So we want to bring you those people, start you on your wholehearted journey to live more consciously, because look how happy she is. Don't you just want to be this happy? It's incredible. Come join us. Thank you so much, Emily. I just love you.